What brought you to coaching in the first place?
Wow, good question. I think I remember the day that I was having coffee, or actually it was breakfast with you, and we were just visiting about how life was going. And in that moment that we were talking in that time period, I came to realize that what I was doing on my own wasn't working. And I'm familiar with that saying, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's like the definition of insanity, that kind of thing. And I realized that my current state was not likely to change unless I got some help. And I think it was a humbling moment for me, actually, who's someone who's been pretty confident, self-confident, and not afraid to go it on my own. And I came to realize that, I'm really, I need some help. I need a coach. I need a coach. It's easier to say you need a coach than you need a counselor or a therapist. But I think it's very closely related. I'm very glad to have picked up a coach who can, like a coach for a sports team, encourage me to play my best and to play my best game.
Right on. So, what is it that you feel you've benefited the most from your process of being coached by Scott?
Yeah. Well, I think it has everything to do with the exercise that we went through in the values clarification. More than any other thing, I got my money's worth out of that exercise and the time that I had to reflect on it. It was a long enough process that I'm convinced it was a valid response that I got, and the revelation of what my core values were. What hit me, though, was the realization upon reflection that what I had described, or what we had identified as my core values, actually didn't align with my life. And that was a revelation that put everything together for me. I realized in a moment that part of my discontent was really because, and as I've shared with you before, what dies when your values and your lifestyle or your behaviors, your actions, when they are not congruent, what dies is joy and contentment.
Yeah.
So that, more than any other thing, the clarification of those values, for me to go back to and to say, okay, so to what extent does this or that action, does this course, this path that I'm seeking or think I want to seek, align with my values? And it's actually helped me to make decisions. And already I'm in a place where I've made a decision. I've come to a place where I'm in a good place to make a really important decision in my life.
Right on. That's awesome. Okay, so we did the values, but we also figured them out in the 4 pillars.
Right.
And you had some interesting insights about the 4 pillars and how that made a difference too. Because some of your values, like leadership and a few of the others, just wouldn't have been in there.
Right. I've done some of this values clarification stuff before in my professional life. I actually do some activities like that with the clients that I serve. But this was a little bit different arrangement and a different sorting of the values. And so I really appreciated that there were these pillars, there were these categories, and within each one of those there's a set of values that I subscribe to, and that they are rank ordered. They are not equal. They trump one another. And so I saw these things and went to that piece on my professional life, and I thought, I was able to look at that and say, right, I affirm that. Yeah, that was actually affirming and brought to the level of consciousness that which was deep down. So when it comes to making decisions, whether they're personal or professional or spiritual or relational, I can actually go to that sort of values and say, how does this decision align with my values? And so that's been the thing. And I'm still in process.
Yeah.
It's still pretty fresh for me. I'm learning how to make sense of this disclosure in my personal life. Right
on. So tell us about just the aspect of the style of coaching that Scott has, and how that's benefited you.
Sure. Well, I'll start with this. I've known Scott to be in this coaching business for a number of years now, and I really didn't think I needed his services. I thought I was sort of above that, quite frankly. And he's younger than me, and I thought, what can this young guy teach me? And but as it turns out, he can actually teach me an awful lot because of how he does his coaching. Scott, we'll do an edit there. So it's really part of how Scott does his work that makes the difference. Scott doesn't tell me a lot. He asks me a lot of questions. I'm a kind of individual that needs to think through my thoughts verbally, and so he gives me lots of time to process the topics and the questions that he's asking. He always comes prepared. He comes prepared with key questions for me. He gives me homework, which is manageable. We meet on a schedule that suits my professional and personal life. He's willing to accommodate me, and the time frame is really something that we work out together, and it's got to work for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. I know that he's going to keep my confidence. I know that I can trust Scott, and that he's demonstrated to me, first of all, that he means me no harm, and that he means only the best for me. And given that, I can appreciate the tough questions that he'll put to me. So and he's very gracious. He allows me to be troubled in my own thinking, and he doesn't try and rescue me.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves it up to me to sort this stuff out.
Right on. Excellent. So, I guess moving forward, how would you say that you will benefit from coaching moving forward and being on essentially the life, purpose, and abundance process yourself?
Right.
How is this process helping you moving forward as a journey or a process?
Right. Maybe I'll take it back to what my goal was personally for this coaching process that I wanted to get into. And it goes back to a measure of discontent and some unsettledness in my life, my personal life, and I was needing to make a decision. And I knew that I actually wasn't in a good place to make that decision. And so my objective with Scott was I wanted, through coaching, to get to a place where I could make a decision. And it didn't matter what the decision was, but I wanted to be in a good place so that I was fully resourced and had the capacity to make a good decision. I think I'm going to continue to be in need of support to maintain that position of well-being in my life, because more decisions are going to come along, and it's not a specific incident that I needed coaching for. It's actually a frame of mind and a frame of well-being that I need to sustain, not just for my own personal and professional life, but for my family as well. So I think what I've come to realize is that if I want to stay in the game long term, I'm going to need a coach. Every team has a coach. Every player has a coach. Even the professionals. Tiger Woods has a coach. Why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's the prospect for a long-term relationship that will serve to sustain my health and well-being so that I can be that person to make the right kind of decisions moving forward.
Right on. Thank you so much, man.